This Malayalam film takes a real gruesome incident and for a change goes for a commercial treatment. But does that help the cause? Let's figure it out. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince. Today we're talking about the latest Malayalam film Narivet, directed by Anuraj Manohar and written by Abhin Joseph. I saw the film on the day of its release, but I took my time to make this video because I wanted to take some more time to think about it. It's a complex film, and actually after watching the film, I found out it's based on a real incident. Now I don't know how much creative liberty they have taken because whatever small I could read about the incident, I could notice some differences. So I'm just gonna talk about this film and the way it tells its story as a person who didn't know about the real incident. Now if you're someone who have consumed a lot of films based on real incident, this will not be new for you. We have seen such stories being told before about tribal and marginalized communities, the atrocities they face, how they have to fight for their right, how the politics is at play, and how the protector of the state, the police, instead of protecting, are used to crush their movement in the name of defending against the extremists. And we don't have to go too back, we have recent examples of it, films like Viduthalai, Jigatanna Double XL, and they have their different approach to the same thing. Now with Narivetta, it goes for a commercial look. There is a scale to the film, the production value is outstanding. It feels like they went to the real locations and shot there, and that adds a feel and vibe to the film. You feel the tension being in that area. Something's gonna go down. And they were ambitious. They had big set pieces, a lot of extras. We got a chaotic single take. Now VFX was noticeable at many moments, especially the fire. Of course, they cannot put the real forest on fire. They had to use VFX, but none of it comes in the way. Now because they had a big canvas doesn't mean it was very surface level treatment. I would say they didn't go too nuanced, which I'm used to in Malayalam cinema. We don't go too deep in the situation, what the real problems are. We don't explore all that, but it's very much self-understood. Everything is set up and we are just waiting for the ticking bomb. And the film does a good job to keep you invested, but it's a convenient writing by the end that makes the film lose its impact. They wanted to end on a hopeful note, but there was just too much spoon feeding, too much explanation going on at the end. And to talk more about it, I need to get into some minor spoilers. So if you have seen the film, then only continue watching. What makes this film stand out for the most part is that we get two sides, two different point of views. One is of the tribals and one is of the police. They don't go in the direction of good versus evil or black versus white. We're just witnessing how things are unfolding on both sides. Now with the police, the film shows that it's a machinery which has to follow orders which are given to it. For them, there's a protest which is illegal and they are sent here in the forest to handle it, to take care of it. And they're not really super happy about it. They want to go home. It's just a job for them. And that's the difference. For one, it's about life and death, and for the other, it's just a job. On the police side, we have Tovino's character, Varghese, and they spend a good time developing his character, and it was a really hard role for Tovino to pull off. A very naive and impulsive character who's very casual, who doesn't understand the stakes at play. It's only when he gets a big blow that he starts to move, be it his lover leaving or losing a friend. And that's his arc in the film, from being that guy to turning into an active person who really wants to do something and bring a change, to do the right thing, to get justice, to fight for someone else. After we get his backstory, he gets deployed in this area and he just wants to get over it. He's not really interested to be here. It's just a job for him, and that's how he sees it. From his perspective, these are not people fighting for their right. They are just criminals for him who are doing illegal thing and they need to get rid of it. And the only voice of reason in his life is Suraj Venjaramodu's character, Bashir, who empathizes with the tribal of why they're protesting and what they want. And maybe that comes from his own experience. Now for the point of view of the tribals, the film does this thing where it doesn't want to get into too many characters, instead combine them all into one face that represents them. So we see all the atrocities happening to that one character, be it not getting the right wage for his work, being called a thief for picking up a fallen fruit, getting wrongfully beaten up, or being tortured for a manufactured crime. And with that, we have these two characters with two different POVs facing against each other. Now the screenplay structure of the film follows the cat in the present. He is being caught by the police, and from there we keep going back and forth to see how things led up to the main event and figure out what all happened. Till the interval, the film does a good job at setting everything up and it all works seamlessly. But it's the second half where the film takes a turn, but not for the good. We see as the police get more and more pressurized to get everything under control, they resort to tactics to force the protesters out. And we know what's going on. Having seen such films, it's very predictable what's really happening here. We know that the police is sabotaging the protest by saying the extremists are supporting it, having their own man killed, which gives them the reason to escalate the situation and use their force to crush the protest. Now when this happens, suddenly Tovino's character changes. Suraj's character goes missing, he gets desperate trying to find him, doing everything he can, even himself making theories that it's the protesters tactics who are behind it. Going and catching his parallel from the tribal group, bringing him in and torturing him, beating him up for the answers. And then he discovers Bashir is dead, the voice of reasoning has gone away, and all the fingers point towards the tribals protesting. And you would assume, knowing his character, he would just go against them. But that doesn't happen. Suddenly, off screen, he investigates everything, comes to the conclusion that something is wrong, learns the truth what really happened, and then goes and questions the authority. And his turn is not so his character which was established till now. And here again, with that commercial aspect, the film makes its villains very sadistic. There's a darker music playing with them in slow motion. Even with that, I'm fine with. But the way the things unfold after that in the climax and how it resolved, it was not very convincing. With Tovino's character, you have a police constable who knows the truth, all the tactics you use, and instead of locking him up so that he doesn't interfere, you let him roam around. Even to the extent when everything is over, you take him with you to show him where you are putting a pit to throw the bodies which should not come out. You're literally providing him the proof which he needs later. And that's just plot convenience. And even after that, you have left him free. He goes and complains to your superior about what happened that day, and you still don't take any action. Then he goes and meets the tribals who were captured in the jail, goes to the court, files a case in secret. He's able to do all of that, and then you go and capture him when everything is done. And all of this happens so that the film can frame the character of Tovino as the hero who has gone through his arc, who has learned his lesson, who cannot stay quiet and wants to bring the truth out, which is again very convenient. The way Scato was set up, I thought they were gonna show us how people are brainwashed, how through the tactics they'll make all the policemen go against the protesters. Because Tovino's character never empathizes with the protesters at all. The way he looks at them, he just despises them. There is no empathy at all. And before that, we get a scene where he's ready to beat up an old man to remove him, just to get his job done. They could have actually used his character to charge the attack against the protester. And later, he finds out what the truth was. And the actual story, they actually wanted him to die instead of Bashir. And the moment that swap happens when they're patrolling, I knew what's going on. When I figured out the film is based on true events, I thought maybe his character is based on a real police constable who was the whistleblower. But when I read about the real incident, I didn't find anything like that. So if this part is fictionalized, then it raises the question of the savior complex, that an outsider who doesn't understand the real struggles of these people will come and save them or give them justice. Even with the ending, the way they explain what happened, how they went back and found the bodies, like all of it was over explained. The last moment doesn't leave you with the same impact like a Jigarthana Double XL, where also it ends with a hopeful note, but it is more tragic. It also has a layer of how cinema can be the voice of the oppressed, how that started a movement, how the people came together. And with Narivetta reading about the real incident, even they could have done the same thing, that how the true facts came out and people came and protested. Now I know it's easy to say all these things sitting here, it's very different when you're making a film, and I'm sure they had their own reasons to end the story the way they did, but does it work the best? Not for me. That whole single take sequence where he's running in the crowd trying to save the protesters from the police, it's really well shot, but narratively I just kept thinking, what happened suddenly? Why did the IPS allowed him to go in? Did he want to get rid of him in the chaos? But even that didn't happen. So that scene left me with more questions than to absorb what's happening. See, at the end the film had really good intention. They brought forward a real incident that happened in our history which should be talked about, but it's just that they didn't hit the bullseye. I don't think I'll remember the film for long. Now this week I also saw the remake of the beloved Malayalam film Romancham. You can find it here when it's out. It was some experience. I don't know what I was thinking. The longest 2.5 hours of my life. But what do you think about this film? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you next time.